Well, good morning, everybody. It's time for another Word Balloon Live. And as you can tell from the projector on the screen, it's time for a special Scene Missing edition of Word Balloon. This is John Suntress. And look who's here. It's my old buddy from The Score. We spent a lot of time together, man. 9 great years on The Score at WSCR Radio in Chicago. Mike North, everybody. Hello again, everybody.
Hello again, everybody. What's going on? Shake, can I get something off my chest right away?
Please.
Just want to let everybody know my life was an open book. It still is.
Yes.
I lost a loved one the other day.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah. And it's been with me since I was 10. I lost my front tooth.
Oh.
Now,
I'm sorry, Mr.
It was
Clampett.
loose for about 3 weeks. But to go to the dentist now, you need to show up in a hazmat suit.
Yes.
With masks and goggles, maybe a backpack. And I let it go. And then I was eating a beef sandwich one night.
Oh, no.
And I was trying to eat it on an angle to make it last. It was hanging. You know, like my life, hanging. And then all of a sudden, where's my tooth? So it fell out. I'm going to get a new one. But, you know, for young guys like hockey players that lose their teeth and stuff, that's one thing. But when you're my age and you've lost this tooth and you've been with it for 57 years, everything that I kissed, my tooth kissed. Everything I ate, my tooth ate.
Sure.
My tooth has been with me through fights that I won, fights that I lost, actual physicalness, fights or verbal.
Certainly.
Been through a million things. So I don't know. Am I the only one that if you lose a front tooth that's been with you for a long time? I mean, if that's the worst that ever happened to me, I'm completely healthy besides that. It's still, I start thinking about it. That's a lot of years.
I understand, man. I'm sorry.
I noticed your glasses are fogging up.
I am getting misty-eyed just thinking about it. My condolences, absolutely.
Yeah,
So-
well, I kept the tooth. I'm going to put it around a chain and just walk around. That's all.
That's beautiful, man. That's great. That was a touching story. I'm very sorry that
Isn't
happened.
it? You thought I lost somebody dear.
Yeah, I seriously was like, oh my God.
You know, Shake, I like to start things off with a bang.
Lovely. Fantastic. People have already started chiming in, Mike. Chris wants to know if we're going to have a debate on how nice or dark Gotham City is. It's funny how my memory works. I remember that you guys did that bit on that so long ago.
Yeah, well, we did a lot of bits, and that was the beautiful thing. And we did bits that, you know, today we couldn't even do.
Oh, Jesus. Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
We'd be thrown off the air immediately, and that's fine. Now, I've managed to be non-PC as much as I could, but I'm not going to lie to you. I used to just say whatever I wanted without thinking. Now, when you got to think a little bit, does it take away a little bit? Not from me necessarily, but from some people it might. But I think, you know, you don't know what's going to hit you now. But I will tell you this. Some cities could be compared to worse than Gotham City right now. We hope everything straightens out. But Gotham City, to me, when I read Batman, who's one of my favorite characters, I'm a DC Comics guy.
Absolutely.
Not the Marvel people. They got plenty.
Sure.
DC Comics, to me, they made it as dark as possible. The movies make it as dark as possible. It's a place I wouldn't buy real estate in, to be honest with you.
That was kind of the point that it
Right.
was such a sinkhole that Batman had to come and try to
They
save
were in
the city
trouble.
every night. No, you got it, man. You got
Yep,
it.
they were in trouble.
Absolutely. So, hello, Craig. Nice to see you. Thank
Hello,
you for
Craig.
joining us.
Hello
And
again, everybody.
Chris wants to say thanks to us and Dan Jiggets for the many hours of excellent programming we provided. That's very sweet.
Jiggets and North were able to go, which most hosts can't do now. By having Jiggets and North, that dynamic in '92, we used to breach subjects that no other hosts could really breach.
That's true.
Because of that dynamic of Jiggets and North. And I wish there was somebody like that on the air today, because I think there is being a lot left on the table by a lot of people. But, like we said earlier, with the cancel culture and stuff like this, I'm not in the position anymore. There's people out that got to make a living for their family. So
sure.
I understand it. It's easy for me to talk at my age when I got everything that I ever wanted, because it was a different time.
I hear
period.
You. I know.
Period. If I came along today, I wouldn't come along today.
Well, we'd be off the air within the first month. Absolutely.
Exactly.
No, it's a shame. And it's a shame.
It is a shame, and it's too bad. I saw today Dave Chappelle, and if people haven't seen it yet, Kanye West and Dave Chappelle are together outside somewhere with about 4 or 5 of their guys, and they're talking. And Kanye West says, "I need a joke. I need a joke from you. I really want to hear a joke." And Dave Chappelle started thinking, and he said, "Nah, peace and love and all this other stuff," which told me, because I put on Twitter at North to North, if it was Rickles or Murphy back in the day, they're doubling with laughter within 10, 20 seconds, because that was the dynamic. It's just a different dynamic now.
I hear you, man. Oh, look at this. Glenn says, I won second in a Mike North NCAA tournament game with Indiana, despite being an Illinois fan.
I remember.
Hilarious.
Glenn, how are you, buddy? Congratulations. I used to give my own money away on the air. I mean, they back then they paid you so damn well that you said, you know what, I'm going to give back, and that's what I did. I used for every contest, 1, 2, 3, predict the score.
I don't, seriously, I'm glad he brought up the NCAA tournament. That was always the most fun trip that we'd take to Vegas for the first round.
Ooh.
And just, sitting there with your buddies, the guys that would get us the great hotel rooms, and Tom Bonanni, the great Tom Bonanni would help us out.
Great Tom Bonanni, the president of Paris back in the day. And I met him, and he's the one that I met him at a dinner when I was down in Vegas with my wife. And somebody saw me, and they said, "You know who that guy is? He's rolling in Chicago right now." This guy, Tom Bonanni, comes up to me. He goes, "How you doing? I'm Tom Bonanni." He's at the sports book. I go, "Hi, Tom." Well, we became lifelong friends. I haven't talked to Tom for a couple of years, so I should probably drop him a line. And we became really good friends. And so he says to me that night, "Hey, you want to go to see Sinatra tonight?"
Jesus.
I go, "Hell yeah." He goes, "Well, wait, meet me down here about 5 o'clock, because then I'll introduce you to his manager, his road manager, and his people." And that's what happened. I met Tony Orethino, I think his name was, another manager that escapes my mind. They put us at the Desert Inn right there in the showroom, in the Sinatra booth. He was 10 feet from us when he came out. He winked at the table. And then near the end of the show, somebody comes up and says, "Mr. Sinatra would like you to join him for a private party at the Forum Lounge."
Wow.
So I go, "You're kidding." And they go, "No, we're not kidding." It's sort of like he was telling me to be there. Now, he had seen me and B there. He's like, "I'm serious. The stage was right there." And we go there, and it's a long table of people, in nobody else. And ladies and gentlemen, it's 20 people. Keely Smith comes out and entertains us.
Wow, Keely Smith, fantastic. Louis Prima and Keely Smith, the great duo from the 50s and 60s.
Panner. I'm sitting there for 3 hours.
Wow.
I'm starting to nod. Sinatra, boom, drinking the Jack Daniels, Jack and soda. Boom, boom, boom. The guy's like 80-something.
Yeah,
boom.
yeah.
Cigarette.
Camels, no filters, right?
No filters, Camels, which he gave me a pack of, which I
Yep.
found out later he does to a lot of people, like Dennis Miller got one. So it legitimized my story because my mom, the most untrusting woman in the world, never bought the story until she read about Dennis Miller having it done to her. So what happened then was me and B are ready to leave, and I go, let's just get out of here. We're at the end of the table anyway.
Sure.
And I hear, where are you going? I turn around. It's Frank Sinatra asking me where I'm going. I go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. Me and B go out and go, what the hell? He goes, come. He had told me, come over here. When came back, couldn't have been nicer.
That's awesome.
Says, you know what? Where are you? You're from Chicago, huh? Oh, I love the Cubbies, and I love this. And, the music. Then he starts on the music. Cole Porter. There's no Cole Porters anymore. I must have talked to him for like 20 minutes.
That's amazing.
And then I got to leave. And there's no pictures. Because back then, there was no cameras.
Well, yeah, exactly. We didn't we weren't carrying cameras like we are on our phones back then. I understand, Mike. No, believe me, I get that.
Right.
And yeah, it was amazing. Hey, look who else is here. Ken Chirilla, everybody.
I love Sleepy.
There he is.
I gave him, I gave you your name. Shaky,
yes, indeed.
Not because you're shaky, because of your foundation. Your house looks excellent, or your studio. You're wonderful.
I shoot with this hand. Go ahead.
You would shake with the coffee in your
hand.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
And I gave you the name Shaky. And then Ken Chirilla.
Sleepy.
Ken Chirilla gets the job, and he works with Jeff Schwartz, who's
one
of my best friends in the whole world, if not my best. I'm your brother. I'm not a friend. Yeah.
Gene Shalit.
One of the greatest mentions of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And Sleepy, well, that's what I gave him the name. He'd get the job done, but walking a deliberate, slow, and he'd always look drowsy.
Yeah, his eyes.
The name Sleepy, and it stuck.
Yeah, his eyes just naturally looked like he was about to nod off.
He was exhausted. That's all. Great guy, great people, great guy.
We had a blast, man.
I love Sleepy.
Seriously, it was only 9 years for me at the score, but they were a blast, and I
was there 16, yeah. 16.
I know, man. Yeah.
Good time. Good time.
Yeah, and it was crazy, and it was amazing, and all the athletes
fights in the hallways with the hosts and
God.
Bad stuff. And the poor guys at XRT, the poor people there, they were, let's hand me that flower, and all of a sudden, boom, they'd be hearing a ruckus, and there's two guys are yelling at each other for stealing the guest.
Well, that station was so it was tiny. It was a cheese box. Yeah. And a lot of us, like Jiggets and everybody, Buffon, we had so many ex-athletes, they were like aircraft carriers and like trying to park in a parking lot, for God's sake.
Well, speaking of, I want to just give condolences to Seth Mason, who was the driving, the story's true, and that's the way it goes. I suggested a sports station to him at BB's. Me and B were right there, and I begged them, please don't get jazz, don't do jazz. And what happened was they went away, and Danny Lee went home that weekend after he heard me suggest, why don't you try a sports station? Jazz or cool country. That's what they were going to do. They had already bought the call letters, WJZZ. But he came to have a hot dog with Seth. And Seth had, back in the day, a turkey sandwich with a leaf of lettuce. Because ironically, this man who just passed away, with a leaf of lettuce, he asked us, in a hot dog stand in the 80s. Give me a turkey sandwich on white with a leaf of lettuce. Everybody's ordering beefs, hot dogs, everything.
Oh, yeah, Jardiniere.
I ran out with them to the car. And I said, if you guys don't start a sports station, somebody else down the line will. Because there's 12 to 13, 14 of them right now in Kansas City, Denver, San Diego. Danny Lee goes home that weekend. They were going to meet Monday morning with Harvey Wells, who was then the general manager, along with Seth Mason, vice president. Norm Weiner, who was in charge of music, and they were going to get together to decide what music they were going to have. They don't know anything about sports or programming sports. He goes home, and on a Sunday morning when the newspaper was the newspaper, he bought, and this will be in the movie that I'm trying to get done, but the COVID thing isn't over yet. This is going to be in the movie. He buys the Tribune and the Sun-Times. They were as thick as this, folks. They were thick. Buys the Tribune and the Sun-Times. Goes to the jazz and country music section, entertainment, and starts counting the ads. He counts like 3 or 4. He goes to the sports section, which back in the day was bigger than the actual Sunday Sun-Times is now. Bing, bong, ding. He saw there was like 35 advertisements in the Sunday Tribune and Sun-Times. And
Sure.
I mean, there was like, they'd squeeze them at the bottom.
Absolutely.
They tried to put them above the guy's batting helmet, anything they could squeeze it into. He goes to work that Monday. They're all sitting in that conference room, the one conference room they had at the station. Not a big place. And Michael Damsky was there, all those guys.
Michael Damsky, hello, how are you? Everything's fine.
You're
Okay.
a great guy. You're a great guy. What's your name again? No, I'm just teasing.
I'm not.
God bless him. God bless him. And they're sitting at the table, and Danny Lee goes, okay, what do you guys got? Well, I think we should start cool country. I think we should start jazz. I like the jazz idea. We already got the call letters for it. He says, we're going to do sports radio. And Seth Mace, no, I think it might have been Harvey going, you're going to listen to that goofy hot dog guy? Voila, the rest is history. He had the foresight, and so did Seth. They made the right hires. McNeil and Boris, genius. Jiggets and North, double genius. Huge genius. Tom Scher, who took a lot of heat from all of us, but he was like the Niedermeyer from Animal House. He was the guy in the morning that had to bring us, and I've told Tom this, and I don't know if Tom's mad at anybody anymore or not. I don't think he is.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think Tom.
Water under the bridge. Come on.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But we did take liberties, and we took shots at each other. Don't get me wrong.
God, yes. Oh, God, yes. Hawaiian.
It was brutal at times for everybody, but it was great radio. That's right. And Tom was the right guy, because then it set us up for the hijinks of the midday and the afternoon show. And what Boris and McNeil did with a shortened time slot and for 3 shows to make it as one of the highest grossing. XRT got $200 a minute in 1992.
Okay.
We were getting 12. Okay. And they were combined. By the end of 92, equal. And XRT had been there a long time.
Dan Richmond watching us right now.
I
Good
love
to see you,
Dan
Danny. Danny's my neighbor.
Can I tell you a story about Dan Richmond?
Please.
Anybody?
Superfan Dan.
Dan Richmond sitting in the vestibule. I know he thinks he got his job on his own and everything, and he did, because he did. But somebody's got to at least open the door so you can get your foot in. I know that better than anybody. You
All right.
Too. Danny was sitting in the vestibule of WXRT in the score.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking by a couple times because there used to be a hallway connecting the left and the right.
Right.
Score, thank God for the separation. And I walked by 2-3 times over a half-hour span. And Richmond, who's one of the best salesmen, who great salesman, is sitting there. I go, what are you doing still sitting there? He goes, I'm waiting this Michael Damsky to see me. I walked into Michael Damsky's office. I go, hey, man, come on, Mike. The guy's been sitting out there for half an hour, man. Let the guy in. Get it. I've been in that position, and he did. And the rest is history. And Richmond went on to become a great salesman. In fact, we used to do spots for Dakotas, which was a place.
Of course, Dakotas, yes.
And I made an appearance, and then afterwards, Danny and I had a few beers in us, and we played 1-on-1 basketball at a park nearby. And it was like 10 at night with a low light. Ripped clothes, everything. Good guy.
My favorite sponsor from the early score days, of course, Luigi's of Hong Kong. It was half Italian, half Chinese food. Luigi's of Hong Kong.
For a Mai Tai and a spaghetti dinner.
Literally, yes.
I actually would sit down. It was in Lake Zurich. And I'd sit down, and he was a good guy. And I say, hey, I'm going to have the ravioli and 2 egg rolls. And do you have the poo-poo platter? The spinning thing.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and that's what I did. So just great sponsors. We did creative commercials with Tom Couch back in the day.
Yes, we did.
Genius in the business.
Oh, yeah.
And everything worked. And the XRT people, everybody was combined in one little building with a sales staff. It just was set up so well by these people who knew nothing about sports, yet put together, in my opinion, the greatest lineup of all time.
Well, and even hiring Ron Gleason to be the program director, and Ron came in with a news radio kind of like, this is how we're going to do it. And, you had you and you had Boers and
Uh,
Danny and stuff, and you guys really were not traditional sports anchors like that would come on for 3 minutes and give scores. And thankfully, they all recognized that it was this hanging out at a sports bar attitude that the score brought. That it's like, no, that's the sauce, man. That's what we need. Let these guys do their thing. At least that was my perception, being one of the
well,
guys on the low rung.
the first deal was Gleason calls me, comes in. No, Gleason. I had a hot dog stand for people that know. I had 3 of them, but I worked at this hot dog stand, and after Gleason, I didn't know Gleason had been hired or anything. I didn't even know who Ron Gleason was. He came into the stand and he saw me talking to the folks. He stood there. I guess he was there for an hour. In fact, I remember telling B, this guy, he better buy something soon. I mean, he's been sitting there. He had 1 hot dog. He's been sitting there for an hour, but he was listening. He had the stools faced the wall. I get a call about 2 weeks later. Can you come in Monday and do an interview? I go, yeah. Well, unfortunately, that Sunday night beforehand, I got in a fight.
Oh, jeez.
And I had my eye blackened at a bar. And I walked in looking like the dog from the Little Rascals. Gleason goes, what happens? And I said, I'll tell you what happened. I got in a fight and that's it. And today was the interview. He goes, okay, well, we're going to give you weekends. I said, I don't want weekends. I said, I think I could do the job during the week. Long story short, I got it. They put Jiggets with me when I had my brokered time. Back when I brokered time on the radio.
I wanted to talk about that, Mike. Okay,
$300 an hour.
When you say brokered, for people who don't know, brokered time, this is a barter station, usually like way up like in the 1400s of AM. I forget what the SBC.
I was at 1240 SBC.
And, and so literally you'd have like an hour of Russian programming, an hour of Spanish programming. You might have a Catholic show, something like that.
And then with the NFL handicap.
And you're doing an NFL. What was the show before you and what was the show after you?
Justin Rosary Hour was on after me from Buffalo, New York. But it was $300. And what I would do is, because I said to Norm Weiner and Lynn Bramer, the great XRT guy.
Our rock and roll brothers, absolutely.
They came in way before. I said, what should I do? They go, because I remember Tom Pachork doing athlete's feet. No, they called in Tom Pachork to do Bob Birdie's athlete's feet at XRT. I go, hey, how about me? And Lynn Bramer says to me, and Norm, which is true, well, nobody knows who the hell you are. I mean, you're good with sports. I go, well, how do I get that? Well, Mike, you're 37, 38 years old, There's no sense.
It's over. It's over.
That's what he told me. He goes, you've got to be in your 20s, 30s. And I said, well, if I wanted to, how would I do it? Because I heard them say I couldn't do it.
Right.
Which I credit both of them for saying that. I thanked them because the chip on my shoulder got bigger. And I said, how much is it? They go see a guy named Roy Bellavia at WSBC. It's $300 an hour. Well, really, it was $200. But I walked in and I met the producer that was going to produce my show. Very first day, I go, he's out. They go, if you want your own producer, because you got to get your own. I got Tom Couch.
Okay.
I gave him a C note back in the 90s for an hour show to put together my commercials and stuff. $300, and I sold the advertising to people that came in my stand. I sold like in 1990, $1,000 worth of advertising, and it cost me $300 a week, to do it.
Right.
So basically, that's how I got in, and then the sports station out of nowhere comes. And I had tape. I had accumulated 2.5 years of tape. Sure. So I did it the hard way, but I did it the fast way. Like Ice-T says, one of my great guys, he says, a hustler always figures out a way. And that's basically it. By the way, this is a fun fact from Eddie. The Father Justin Rosary Hour is the oldest Catholic program in the Polish language in the world, and that guy let me open for him.
That's fantastic.
How about that? We came on, me and B would leave the stand at 7. I would tape it at 8 in the morning before going to the hot dog stand at 9.
Okay.
It was low voltage. If you drove west and you hit 53 on the Kennedy, where we lived in Palatine at the time, you'd lose it.
Yes, so the signal was that low.
Me and B would drive all over the city, and on the north side and northwest side, and listen to it because it came in clear until you hit 53. So every Saturday night we left the stand, had some food, and we'd drive around and eat in there. That's how we started.
I can't believe those stations still exist. But
They
then
still do. I know guys I know a guy that broke his time, and I know an owner of a place that broke his time. They're still making money off a lot of the European stations.
Exactly, Mike. No, that's our buddy Bill Kavanaugh went to work for one of the Spanish language stations, and he told me that how it was explained to him was, imagine coming from a foreign country and coming here, and then you listen and it's in your own language, and it's, hey, you know that great bread that we like from back home? They sell it at this shop. Go here. And it really is this great cultural brokerage connection to what they love and being here in America.
It was the original podcasting.
Absolutely. 100%.
The original podcasting, but see, what was allowed is advertisers. And if you could get advertisers on the radio, and what I did was I called Dan Cahill, who I played
Freddie's jumping.
Dan Cahill from the Sun-Times. I go, Danny, I played softball against Danny. I go, Danny, I need you to list my show in the Sun-Times. Can you do it? Done, Mike.
The barter show.
40, Sun-Times. Right there with the lineup, with everything else.
Beautiful.
WSBC, 8 p.m. NFL handicapping show. Easily, in my opinion, the first time gambling or wagering was ever talked about on radio. Now it's like, hey, did you hear about this new thing? Hey, casino. Hey, Rivers is opening. Did you hear about that? You know what I mean?
I do. Break. That's awesome, man. That's hilarious.
So I broke ground for that too, and it was awesome. And
Freddie,
I sold $50 for 30 seconds, $100 for a minute, and people that came in from Amco, General Electric, Lindholm Roofing, which are still my good friends on Addison, Milwaukee, they were the first guys. They didn't believe in me, but they said, Mike, we know you. You're on. You got it listed in the Sun-Times. We're in.
So they sponsored you.
$50.
Yeah.
For 30 seconds or 100 for a minute. So I was bringing home like 1,000 a week.
Outstanding.
Giving Roy 300.
Sure.
It ended up it's like a side job.
Absolutely.
And then, I got the score job.
And the rest is history. Freddie Hubner, one of your former partners, chiming in.
Well, I love everybody. I love Fred. Well, I'm at that age now. You know, the gloves are off. I'm done.
You've mellowed.
I'm Larry Holmes. Hi, everybody. Oh, you beat me up once. Good. We made a lot of money. Let's have a drink. You know.
Absolutely.
But Freddie Hubner is had some tough things happen to him. He's lost his wife, who we knew.
Oh, Fred, I'm sorry. I didn't know that he. Yeah. Oh, I'm really sorry.
And Fred's had cancer too. And my buddy Sylvie Strong.
Yeah.
And Fred survived, but Pat didn't. And Pat and BB especially were very well. BB's close with everybody, but BB loves and Fred's. There's no more loyal guy. No more loyal.
Oh, Freddie's the man.
There's two loyal guys. Two of the most loyal guys, in my opinion. Not that everybody else isn't loyal, but I'm talking about a guy that knows everything.
Above and beyond.
Jesse Rogers.
Oh, God, yes. Absolutely, Jesse Rogers.
Freddie.
I'm with you, buddy. No, that's cool.
Guys. I love them.
Dino Tiberi. Holy cow, I was just going through some pictures and ran across the Sky Pilots outing at Comiskey back in the day when the two of you and Fritzy and a cast of hundreds.
The Sox front office hates my guts.
But really? What happened?
Oh, gee, I don't know. I guess Rob Gallus, Walt Riniak, you know.
But Jerry still loves you, right?
Shots at their attendance. Look, I understand.
Yeah, but Jerry still loves you, right? Reinsdorf?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Jerry's one of my friends, though. If anything ever, I'd be there for Jerry in a heartbeat. But what they got under, it was me, it was always business, not personal.
Sure.
But not that I didn't get personal once in a while. You do that when you're mad. And I used to get mad at them. But I also knew that they were my team, and we did a thing called Sky Pilots. And I said, I want to be at the very top of the upper deck.
Of the new part.
Of the old one.
Oh, okay.
When they built the new stadium, the first upper deck. We had everybody there. Knuckles, Fritzy, all the guys. We had hundreds of people in a place you never saw inhabited before. The top 5 rows of the upper deck at Comiskey Park. And we all had T-shirts, and the Sox were cool about it. They were cool about it.
Hilarious.
Because they got a lot of free publicity off it.
Oh, sure.
Hey, all the negative stuff about our station, we gave them so much positive stuff too, and they never say anything about that. Oh, remember what you said about this guy? You watched that? Or remember what McNeil said about this? Remember what Terry said about the Bulls? Do you remember all the hundreds of hours of publicity you got from us?
Well, like you said,
a thank you would be nice.
When we were on the daytime only signal, so we were a sunrise to sunset station, and during the winter, we'd be off by 4:30 in the afternoon. And I produced the afternoon show then.
Right.
And the phones were flashing because people were still trying to call in.
Absolutely.
And we're already off the air. And for a good 2 hours afterwards, the phones were still ringing because they didn't know we were off the air and they wanted to talk.
And you know what? I think it always bothered Terry and Danny, I think, because Jiggets and I had to clean 4 hours.
Right. To midday.
We didn't, that's where they put us.
Right.
But we always, one thing about all us guys, you mess with us, if you mess with us, anybody, then we banded together.
Oh, God, yeah.
The electronic media hated us. The college journalism people hated us. I'm not going to get into any names. Individual writers hated our guts. But if you had to have a thick skin because we dealt it out, so we had to take it too.
Well, yeah, no, and sports radio was new, certainly in Chicago, other than Pearsall's show and Chet Kopik's show and people like that.
And you had guys. I listened to Chet. I listened to
the sports writers on the weekends.
Rich King, sports writers. The sports writer. Look, I can understand why all those guys were mad because once the score started, the fans finally, and it's no different than today. The fans finally thought, and the fans knew they had a voice. They knew it. We were beholden. We were beholden to nobody, ever. We weren't beholden to somebody who owns, that we were working for somebody's TV station, they paid you so good that you were free to open and you had your backing. I remember I go up to Coach Riley hated us. Yeah, that was bad.
That was a classic press conference.
But the thing about us was we accepted the hits. Some of it was unfair. There was a lot of, but it's no different than today. The people finally thought, and we just hit the nerve at the right time. They had been hearing the BS about the Bears and everything else forever, and they finally had a station that represented them.
Absolutely, and it was at a time that we weren't winning championships. It was years after the Bears Super Bowl victory. The Blackhawks were good. It was still the Mike Keenan years and stuff.
Yeah,
but it wasn't.
Year that 92, they lost, I think, 4 games to none, or 91
to the Penguins. And 91, it was the year before we started. Yeah. So
we really didn't have.
The Bulls were. That was the other great thing. That was the championship run that we happened to luck out.
We can't thank Michael Jordan enough.
No, we can't.
And I think that if we go back, we could have been nicer. We could have been nicer. He was our guy. The gambling talk and all this other stuff. But we know what? We shot off the hip what we felt, and we loved Michael. But there was a lot of questions. Hey, Ditka worked for us, and he wanted to kill half the station. So that's just the way that station was, man.
But
Ditka got a good check to get beat.
Oh, please.
I'll never forget. I'm with them for the first time at Cumberland.
Okay.
Cumberland Ditka's. That's where we did the first show. 92.
Right. Yeah.
Genius hire by, once again, Seth Mason and Dan Lee. Just genius. Just took everybody. Boom.
Yeah.
And Ditka did the job.
He gave us legitimacy.
He gave us legitimacy, is right. And the first show, we went back and forth. But I loved the guy. And I told him, I said, listen, it's going to get a little rough sometimes, He didn't give a damn. We ended up becoming good friends. In fact, one of my DUIs I got after I drank that with him in Highland Park.
Okay.
Yeah, they were waiting for me. He didn't get it. He went the other way to coach. Thank God he didn't get it. I beat the DUI, but that's beside the point. It was an aggravation. But those were the days, man. Ditka and to tell you how out of it a lot of people that weren't in sports were, this is going to be in the movie too. I'm telling the whole movie before it's even, going to be. Oh, I have to rewrite some of the script. What am I, Tennessee Williams?
Is that your assignment? Is that your take-home assignment? You got to rewrite stuff?
It. I brought it and just some of it.
Okay.
Because they want a little bit. We have a ton, but they want about 120 pages.
Okay.
So I got to add on some things. So you might get in shape. No, I'm kidding. You're already in. You don't.
Oh, good.
Yeah. What was I talking about? I'm like Lamada.
Ditka and Cumberland and your DUI.
So I tell my dad, hey, I'm on the radio. Just when I got a job with the radio. My old man's an electrician. And yeah, okay, good. Hand me the wire. That's it. I go to my mom. Mom, I'm going to be on radio. She goes, okay, that's nice. Tell Johnny and Danny to clean up, come on in, and the dinner's going to be served soon. So it didn't hit my parents. Oh, my God. Oh, Don. Oh. When I built my new house, he goes, the one thing he said, because he's an electrician, that's the greatest electrical box I've ever seen. Like Rudy's dad. This is the damn greatest electrical box these eyes have ever seen. Instead of Notre Dame football, So I go, just come to this one live show. My old man goes, live show? He goes, yeah. I go, we started a few months ago. We're doing good. He goes, I got to be honest with you. I went to the hardware store the other day. These guys said they love you, and I got my stuff for free. So I invite him to the first show I'm doing, because Terry did one, Jiggs did one, Cher did one.
Yeah, the Ditka shows, yeah.
My mom and dad get a table with 10 other people. They had long tables.
Okay.
And my mom's like this, and she goes, wow. She goes, my dad's having a highball. And she goes, wow, the coach really rakes them in. And one of the guys at the table said, the coach, we're here to see the new guy.
That's awesome.
And that's when my old man said, and that was it. And then they didn't say nothing for about a half an hour, but they were all laughing. My old man had a couple of them. I said, it's my son up there. I didn't want to say nothing.
That's great, man. That's great.
Yeah. It was the score at the beginning. We had no billboards. We had nothing.
Nothing.
I might get a strip, Schwartz, some publicity. It was really the media the print media that despised us but helped us. Awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And again,
a lot of guys, whether you liked what certain guys wrote or certain people wrote, they helped us do it.
Well, and also,
I'm not understanding now.
It was the fans. It was, honestly, the fact that care. No, and again, it was word of mouth, and they had a place to hang out and give their gripes about the teams on the air, and we really built a community in the way that is done now online, and we were doing it on radio. And it's, we can never, take that for granted. And no, it's amazing.
Best sports lineup ever.
Yeah, we had a good time, man.
And with some great producers, Judd Surratt. The producers, people don't realize you, Judd Surratt, Jesse, Rick Geezer, any of those guys.
Absolutely.
They were the backbone. Because we didn't settle for, like they do in a lot of stations now, around the country, every day the same group of guests each week. You know what I mean? I said to Jesse, get me Tom Glavine, get me Will Chamberlain,
give me Mickey Mantle, give me Yogi Berra, give me Ted Williams.
As a matter of fact, nice that you brought this up.
Yeah, go ahead.
You and I have often lamented. That's it.
And we laminated as well. We covered a lot of stuff in plastic. So
I'm tearing up. You're bringing up the kitchen counters. Anyway, and a lot of these.
Look at that.
I often said I wish I had some of the interviews. Well, unfortunately, BB used to call Jesse and go, Jesse, when Mickey Mantle was going to come on, or Walter Matthau. Jesse taped this, and BB found when we were moving from our house in Park Ridge, 15 tapes. Harry Carey. Norm Van Leer. Mickey Mantle.
Lovely.
Yeah. Ted Williams. Michael Jordan, which I'm going to get converted. I'm looking for Joey Bishop, Dave. Mayor Daley, the second Mayor Daley on the first day.
Richard Daley.
Scott
Yes.
Skiles, the original NFL handicap show. Bill Peterson.
Bill.
Yeah.
From CSI.
Ditka, drunk with me.
Lovely. Charming.
Harry. And last but not least, I don't know who this is, but it's somebody good. But we have to listen to some of them.
Oh, my God.
Listen to the Mathau and Mantle stuff. It's.
Oh, my God.
But Berra, he's at Yogi Berra's golf outing. And Ted Williams gets on the line. Jesse did all this. There's three guys. Berra, Mantle, Ted Williams. Hey, Ted. Mickey Mantle goes, are you being charged by Yogi? Because I am. And Ted says no. And then all hell broke loose. Hey, what do you want me? I mean, it was great. And they forgot they were on the radio, and that's the beauty of it. So,
oh, God, yes.
We're going to get these. I got to go to my buddy at Bears Barroom, Aldo Gandia, or somewhere to get these converted.
Yeah, hey, Mike, promote the podcast that you do for my audience.
Bears Barroom, my God. You've been on it a few times because when I talk with Aldo Gandia, Aldo's a dear friend, and he's built up a nice little podcast network. We have a couple more podcast people that want to be on, and it's just going. I'm a small minority guy in it, and he's just done a tremendous job. It's a go-to place for Bears fans. Give Bears Barroom a follow at Bears Barroom, and you know what? I mean, if you're a Bear fan, just follow us there. That's where you got to go.
I hear you, man. No, that's awesome.
Great
and North
and
North is your Twitter feed.
Yeah, NORTH, the number 2 NORTH, and I don't have a website anymore. You don't need it to be honest. I know you do, maybe, or other people.
It's where I park my podcasts and everything. But yeah,
Aldo's going to want me to do this now. Now, this isn't bad.
Video, I know, buddy. That's why I'm helping you out. I got the training wheels on for you.
I've watched a lot of your stuff, to be honest.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Sometimes the pictures present the people not in the best light. But I got to be honest with you, I look pretty good. And
you look fine. You're doing
good.
I got
the Kurt Russell chin from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Some of us are just cursed with that.
That's all right.
What a movie! I've only seen it 30 times since it came.
I'm so glad you watched that movie, Mike. And I figured we would talk about old movies and TV as well. But I mean that movie, and also because I think, forgive me, but it seems to me in my memory that I had to beg you to watch Trumbo, the Dalton Trumbo movie with Bryan Cranston.
Yes, you did, and I watch it now every time it's on.
And that's the thing; they're both so amazing.
Diane Lane is worth the price of admission. She's
God, yes, still
great actress.
Oh yeah,
and so is the guy that played Trumbo. I mean,
Bryan Cranston. Yeah.
And he just nailed it. I mean,
he's amazing. Did you see on HBO when he did Lyndon Johnson?
Kirk Douglas nailed Kirk Douglas, man.
Well, that's the casting in it was incredible. The whole movie, top to bottom. But did you see when Bryan Cranston played Lyndon Johnson on that HBO movie All the Way? He's transformative.
I was not a fan of that movie, but I saw him play him. Guys, the guy, he better watch himself. He might typecast himself into doing bios.
He disappears. He becomes these other people. And I mean, he's of course, Breaking Bad and Malcolm in the Middle and his whole career, but he can disappear in these other roles. And I mean, I'm blown away with how great Bryan Cranston always is.
Yeah, I am too. And he does a great job. And I've been watching a lot of movies. I think the most amazing thing about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I apologize to anybody that's out there that hasn't seen it yet, check it out, is they get all those old cars and they block off the expressways and all the old, I don't know how they do the scenery in the background. I'm going to find out when the movie Raging Mouth does come out. But
Raging Mouth.
How they do it all, it is just so cool. And to have all those actual old cars on the expressway.
Yep.
And on the road, you see the old buses as you're turning. I'm going, this Tarantino is just fantastic. He really, really is. And Jackie Brown and
Paul God, yeah.
I mean, they're all great. They're all. Hateful Eight was okay, but Django Unchained. I mean,
I love Django.
Just good stuff.
No, he understands movie making and can push our buttons. And I think
he knows what the fans want. Everything that was in that movie, I wanted. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he had the great casting. I feel bad for some of the people he puts in the movie, like Tony Basil. It says Tony Basil. She probably thought she was going to be on the screen, which she was, but she probably thought maybe she'll have some talking. She's the one dancing in the airplane. There's no sound.
I didn't remember that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and then there's some other ones where, Al Pacino, fantastic. Now his wife, you see her for a brief second. We watched Hannah, and it shows him and his wife turning and sitting in their movie room.
Yeah.
Brenda Vaccaro.
Yep.
But you don't know it's her.
Right.
And if you're Brenda Vaccaro, Tarantino did a big scene. So you think, okay, hey, Brenda, guess what? When you and Al go to sit down, that's going to be in. And maybe she feels like they show, and it's like, okay, look at the credits. I swear it's me.
I wonder if there are, scenes that that didn't make the final cut and everything where they do. Because I don't have the DVD. I don't,
Yeah, I don't do that. But
eventually I do for some movies, but yeah, I am always curious. Well, for me, it was the Playboy Mansion party, and the people that got to be Steve McQueen and especially Joey Heatherton. And I watched it with my cousins.
You know who that was? It wasn't Joey Heatherton. Now,
who was it supposed to be?
Connie Stevens.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Oh, I thought for sure.
See, they put Steve McQueen's name at the bottom when the guy's on, and he played Great McQueen. But
yeah.
They don't put. So then I'm looking. I looked up the cast. It's Connie Stevens.
It's supposed to be Connie Stevens. Interesting.
Yeah, and Connie Stevens was beautiful.
It fits. I mean, she was of the time as well.
She's smoking the joint.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and what's great is I was at the Playboy Mansion and for 3 days. It was crazy. We did the show from there. I knew Christy Hefner and Bill Maravich, and they put it together for us. And Jesse and I went up there, and I met Hugh Hefner, the pride and joy of Steinmetz High School on the northwest side. And what I had done was I went to the school store by Steinmetz, which was on like Narragansett or something, by Belmont. I'm walking in there and I go, give me the Steinmetz t-shirts, Steinmetz phys ed, Steinmetz jacket, Steinmetz mug. Pack it up. We go to California. We get to the Playboy Mansion. It doesn't say be careful of animals. It says be careful of playmates on the actual traffic sign.
Frolicking in the wild.
It's the exact same mansion. They filmed it at the Playboy Mansion.
Sure.
I had the time of my life. I met Vern Troyer, Martin Landau, Robert Culp, all his buddies. He comes down. He sits with us with the Millennial Playboys. It was 2000 that we went. Playmates, twins. That's Hef. We did about a half-hour interview, which I don't have. And afterwards, I go, here, this is for you. He goes, where did you get this? Now, this is one of the most famous men in the world, holding Steinmetz High School t-shirts. He goes, where'd you get this? I go, I got it at the school store. He goes, thanks. And he took it, and he went up the stairs. His aide comes over. He goes, you know how many presents he takes upstairs? I go, no, none.
Wow.
He just took yours up there.
Wow.
Because it was the connection.
Sure.
The Chicago thing.
Yeah, it's high school.
And he never forgot.
Did you see, Mike, on Amazon Prime, that American Playboy show that they made about the beginnings of? It's great. It's the beginnings of Playboy, and a lot of it obviously is here in Chicago. It literally is up until the mid-'70s when he got in trouble and they had that murder at the Chicago mansion, and he moved to LA. And it's that period of starting the magazine up through the mid-'70s. It's a fantastic show. It's a really great show.
He lost his one person, his aide, Bobby Arnstein, I think her name was. And they had the funeral on Devon Avenue by Sheridan. And she was a Jewish lady. And I forget the name of the funeral home, but it was on Devon, which is gone. I think Barron and Son, maybe. And they were all there. Limousines up and down the street.
Oh, sure.
On 1500 Devon. Just unbelievable. So, yeah, he moved there, and then he got out of that. And he's a legend. I think that we miss his voice today. I think we brought up Brickles earlier, Joan Rivers. People like that were older, maybe crazier, maybe not afraid.
I'll be honest, Mike. I think he would have been canceled had he lived longer because of his
They tried to
lifestyle.
cancel that guy for 30 years.
Well, and you're right about that.
Yeah.
But I also, but I do. I
Enduring
think.
thing to him. I think he was legendary by the time he was.
Well,
on.
and
So
I,
do you think they were gonna. You know how many friends he had you know how many friends he had in Hollywood? Everybody. James Connon was the whole room down.
Oh, absolutely. Well, but also, I mean, say what you will about Hef, you cannot deny his impact on the culture from the 50s through the 90s. And how important it was. And again, you can make arguments on the other side, but regardless, no, that was Playboy was a very important magazine.
I met the Pope, the Polish guy. Met the Pope, John.
Yes.
I met Sinatra. Met Sinatra. Met Hugh Hefner. Got to spend time with them. It was like me. They were all Babe Ruth to me. I mean,
I understand.
Hugh Hefner was on equal standing because of what he did, how he did it. I mean, it's unbelievable. We used to forge through the alleys, to look for old Playboy magazines that people would bind up, and if we found one, we thought we found gold because in the late 60s, there was no nudity or nothing, and that's what we wanted as 12 and 13 and 14.
Of course.
So my buddy, I'll never forget my buddy Dan Chucci. Hey, we're hanging out at Sen High School on the steps there. Hey, I got one. We spent the next hour just looking at the Playboy.
Who was the playmate that came in the station that was the Vietnam playmate? Joe.
This was
I know. Sorry.
This was the best. No, that's okay.
Oh, I thought you may not remember her name.
I was a kid. Well, no, in the late 60s. If you look her up, Joe Collins.
Joe Collins, thank you. Exactly.
Joe Collins, I think, also dated Bo Belinsky, who was a friend of mine who I met in Vegas. Okay, Bo Belinsky's another story for another.
Joey Heatherton, Bo Belinsky also, right?
Yeah, the whole group. Bo Belinsky, very tired. Okay, I mean seriously. No, Bo Belinsky was another guy that you said to yourself, I got to meet him, and I'm going, you threw the no-hitter. He goes, that's right. I go, wow. We're at this place called Michael's Restaurant at Barnaby Coast. I go, I can't believe I'm sitting with you. What are you doing now? He goes, selling Saturn automobiles, in Las Vegas. That's what he had to do.
Why not?
His heyday was over.
Sure.
But Joe Collins, I'm in Gibson's. And the bartender goes, hey, you know who that is over there? I go, another pretty woman in this place?
Right, another nice lady.
Yeah. Joe Collins. I go, the playmate? My favorite playmate of all time? Do another drink or two. Work up the courage. Walk over there. I'm Mike North. She goes, oh, hi, Mike. I've heard of you. Hi, Joe. Would you like to come on the show? And, we became, and she came on and she was fantastic. And what
outstanding.
Woman.
Yeah.
And I'll give you another one.
And such a nice, and so down to earth. And I mean, really, this one was so important to the Vietnam troops and everything at the height of the war. And she's, she couldn't have been sweeter. A lovely woman.
Yeah. And then the other one was the night I'm in there with a bunch of the guys, and Seika comes walking in.
Seika.
Yeah. Not 70 Seika, though.
Well, I did.
20,
90 Seika. 90 Seika, yeah.
And wonderful person. Great woman, but I couldn't believe it,
Sure.
But because, 70 Seika. That's all.
I think that's all needs to be said.
She was great. I'm living in Missouri now. Me and just got remarried. I go, that's wonderful.
That's Seika. Seika was telling you this. Unbelievable.
Well, that's like the night I met, sometimes you step on it. That's just the way it is. Because I don't know if you're enamored with celebrity or what, but I went to Christy Hefner's house, me and B, and we met Warren. We hung out with Warren Beatty and Annette Bening.
Wow.
And we're having dinner with them. And Warren Beatty couldn't have been nicer.
That's great.
Minutes. Yeah. You know how hard it is to listen to me for 5 minutes? The guy listened to me for 45 minutes. Listen to this. So we go to eat. Annette Bening. I go, I loved you in The Grifters.
Sure.
She had 4 kids by then. She wanted to downplay probably the most outstanding nude scene in the history of movies.
Oh, she was lovely in the Grifters.
As perfect as you could be, almost.
Absolutely. Lovely.
And instead, what I was hearing throughout the night is the kids are back at the hotel and I'm exhausted. So things change.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Well, I knew eventually we'd talk about classic movies and TV, and I know you and I call each other all the time when we watch different movies on Turner, and also reruns and things. And I know you've
watch them all.
You know, I know you've been watching. Well, again, back to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and you were old enough because I was born in '64. You're like 11 or 12 years older than me, or whatever it is, something like that.
I'm 67.
Okay, so 13 years older. Fine, whatever.
Is youngest senior citizen.
Well, but you
turned it around on.
But my point is, you were like when all those westerns were on TV. You were a little kid, and my God, Mike, there was like 30 or 40 different westerns all on the three networks nonstop.
I had a cowboy suit.
Of course you did.
Chicago, everybody did. I had Wyatt Earp guns. I had
the
vest. I had the square hat. BB never watched westerns. She grew up in a household of all women. They never watched westerns. So now, because she saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, during the afternoon before we eat, you know what I got on? Cheyenne on the Western Channel. Lawman, The Virginian, which was the first 90 minutes. And there's no commercials. None.
Right.
And
right.
They used to sell. Cheyenne was on for 9 years with Clint Walker.
Walker.
In my world, like you've told me, could have played Superman, but is an average actor at best in my world.
Oh, I understand. But no, he just physically is just this mountain of a man. Yeah. And you put the suit on him, he absolutely would have been a great Superman.
John Russell as Lawman, who got the job, lasted 4 years as Lawman, and it was, to me, a lousy Western, but it lasted 4 years.
4 years.
When you did 39 episodes. So these guys made nothing but buku bucks.
I don't know about that, but go ahead.
BB watched was Bonanza.
That's the only Western BB watched. It's
everybody in America seemed to watch Bonanza.
Well,
everybody. It's
one of the best written.
I don't think it gets enough credit.
I agree with you because that show. It's so funny. I can't remember the gentleman's name that was the showrunner and writer producer of the show. It's a D. It's like Doughton or something, like Daryl Doughton.
Livingston?
No. But anyway, no, the writing on there was exceptional on Bonanza. Yeah. And you're right about the other shows. Yeah, I mean, like you said, 4 years. Well, it's so funny. I just finished.
She's into him now because she saw Rick Dalton, and now she gets it all. No, it was. Man's not bad. Lawman, shaky.
I hear you, man. No, I hear Tombstone Territory. I've been watching that early morning. Tombstone Territory. That's another one.
Whitman?
Stuart Whitman was really good. I always liked Stuart Whitman.
Played Gable in a movie.
That's true. Yes.
I mean,
and that movie, The Comancheros, he made with John Wayne. He's really good in that. So, but when you said that they got paid buku money, actually, I don't know about that, Mike, because I remember James Garner talking about Maverick, and it really wasn't until he broke away from the studio contract he had with Warner Brothers, where Maverick was the #1 show, and he was making $1,500 a week, and that's nothing. That's nothing.
But in 1960, I don't know.
He felt he was underpaid.
Another thing. James Garner didn't want to do it every week. So he goes, listen, I need a brother. And they brought in Jack Kelly.
That's right.
Some weeks he wouldn't even be on, and Jack Kelly.
Right.
And then they brought in Roger Moore.
Right. Well, that's the amazing thing. Roger Moore was under contract at Warner Brothers, and he wanted out, and they put him on Maverick and as Bo. And then he finished out his contract, and then they picked him up in British television. And not only did he star in The Saint, but he was a co-producer, and that's when he started making money because the producers are the ones that make the money. And
there's no doubt. I mean, Desi Lou. I mean, all you have to do is look at Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball. Come on, I watched that thing on Donna Reed the other day. Huge. I mean, her. She. I love Donna Reed. Please,
when we had the TV show on the low-powered UHF station, and we're on Friday nights at 6:30, and I would say right after Donna Reed.
Yes, right after Donna Reed. Very underrated actress.
Oh my God, yes.
From Here to Eternity,
It's a Wonderful Life.
The Donna Reed show, I think after Lucy was probably, I mean, they were on for 9 seasons.
Yep.
That was on for 9 with Carl Betts and Bill. And the kids.
A young Shelley Fabre, a Paul Peterson.
Oh, I love Shelley Fabre.
Did I tell you the last month on Turner, they did all these great, not only the obvious beach movies with Frankie and our dear friend Frankie Avalon and Frankie and Annette, but they showed Ride the Wild Surf, and it was Fabian and Tab Hunter, but the women were Shelley Fabre and it was Barbara Eden the year before Jeannie, and Shelley Fabre was doing Donna Reed still, so she's a brunette. They bleach her hair blonde. And for whatever reason, they gave Barbara Eden brunette hair. And it's 1964. They're in their primes. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean.
They look amazing.
I mean, back then, the acting was not looked on as harshly as it is today.
Right.
You go to a movie today or you watch a movie today, the first thing me and my wife say, what do you think? You did a good job. We never used to say that. I mean, John Wayne, he was fantastic. Let's go. There's another John Wayne movie. We never judged our heroes back then. We figured, although it's just hilarious to me that John Wayne was always tagged, as I watch many John Wayne movies now, more analytically, that he was always considered not an average or below average actor. You don't last. I don't care who you are. If you're a bad actor, Shake, you don't last. His method, whatever it was his own.
Well, and he really. Well, everything. No, and when you watch him analytically, he would take his time with his lines. He would give every line more impact because when he was quiet and stuff, and when he'd stare you down and things like that. No, he was an exceptional actor. I mean,
he was. Anne Margaret, and then I watched the other night Angie Dickinson, Maureen O'Hara. I mean, he would always also bring in young Bobby Vinton. Ricky Nelson, James Caan, young actors that were popular. Although James Caan was he tells the story himself. He gave himself 6 months in Hollywood to make it, and he did. But Ricky Nelson was huge back then. So
real Bravo,
bring the young audience and
a real Lobo
that over the years.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. No, he knew well, and it's that book I told you about that Scott Eyman wrote about Wayne's life and whole career. His son Michael, not Patrick. Patrick was the actor, but Michael was the producer of a lot of his movies. He'd package them and stuff. And then it was like, all right, let's get a young guy in there for the kids to like. And I mean, no, they were made by design.
Hey, it was really good. If this is going to be my last movie, that kid that was Opie. Let's bring him in, Ronnie Howard. He's pretty popular, I
love, honestly, Ron Howard, great memories of The Shootist whenever he talks about The Shootist. It's incredible. I agree with you on that. So I was telling you,
and he was with some older women at the end that were still legendary.
Of course.
Yeah, Katharine Hepburn. Come on. Hey, we can do the African Queen with the raft thing.
Exactly. Essentially, Rooster Cogburn is kind of a rework of the African Queen. No question. Absolutely. You're right about that.
It's a ripoff.
Yeah.
They're in the West.
I've been watching more 50s and 60s movies before Easy Rider went the end of the studio system. And I'm fascinated by a lot of those movies and the choices they made.
Easy Rider, and if you've read up on Easy Rider since, Fonda and Hopper hated each other.
Did they?
Oh, they went in together. Fonda, Hopper, they wrote it. Fonda directs them.
Yeah, they shot it together. Yeah,
shot it together. Got Jack Nicholson, who was a buddy of Hopper's. Nicholson didn't like Fonda.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Then some trouble with the investments. Those two guys, they wouldn't even appear together.
Wow, I never really thought about that, Mike. Yeah. You're right. I don't remember ever seeing them.
Never.
In the post years ever being together. You're right about that.
Yeah, if you read about it, and this is where the computer's great. You go there, I'm going to check this out. You go to Easy Rider, read about lawsuits. They hate each other.
Wow.
They don't want to be in. Oh yeah.
You know what I want to read, Mike? I haven't read it yet. I think it's called The Big Goodbye, and it's all about the production of Chinatown. And that really Robert Towne did not write the movie, and it's this whole expose of all the behind the scenes stuff of Chinatown. And I keep meaning to sit down and read it, but I've been busy reading other things instead.
Yeah, I like Chinatown. I love it. John Huston. I mean, you got Faye Dunaway in her prime. You got Nicholson, not even, well, he's at his peak. See, to me, Nicholson was Last Detail. Nicholson
Sure.
was Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes.
Nicholson with Chinatown. I saw Nicholson the other night. We love it. The one with Diane Keaton. He's an older Jack.
Oh, yeah. Sure. That was good.
Or about Schmidt. We love Jack Nicholson.
Sure.
And, I think it's been forgotten because a lot of people now, they talk whether it's Pacino, De Niro, the new guys, DiCaprio, whatever. Jack Nicholson, stud. Maybe the best I ever saw when I went to the movies. I went to see Cuckoo's Nest 5 times. You didn't have Blockbuster. You had to go. Last Detail, I went to see 3 times. I loved Jack Nicholson as a young guy, man. He was just unbelievable as an actor.
No, I agree with you, and it's
John Momola. Hey, Johnny, it said hi too. Just want to say hi. Hello, sound like Harry. Hey, Edith Karnick is having a birthday today. She's 103. So long, everybody.
Are you watching any of the new streaming movies? I mean, I know you saw The Irishman.
Oh, of course, I was forced to do that.
That was the best.
Not physically, but I mean, come on, it's De Niro and Pesci. Pesci has
and Scorsese, for God's sake.
Scorsese. I mean, I went through channels. I had an ISP. Get up there, put it up.
Set it up for me.
I liked it. I didn't like Pacino at first as Hoffa.
Yeah, we talked about that off the air. Yeah.
Nicholson is 5 times better as Hoffa.
And that is you're right, Mike. That's a great 90s movie. It really is. Hoffa is a great 90s movie.
One of his most underrated movies. People don't talk. When you talk about, we didn't even bring it up. Hoffa is one of Jack Nicholson's masterpieces that doesn't get talked about. And Armand Assante is one of them. Armand Assante, I'll never forget it. I go, Jesse. Yeah. I go, can we get Armand Assante? I think he was in Chicago for something. Oh, yeah. Mr. Assante. I want to know if you'd like to come on with my old. I don't do radio. Click.
Oh man, that and I know
Jerry Lewis.
I know another heartbreaker for you.
Either. I was pissed.
I know another heartbreaker for you was that you tried really hard to get Richard Widmark.
Yeah,
and that's a shame because, and especially being a Chicago guy. But yeah,
I wanted to get a lot of different people, but you know what? I wanted Bobby Knight. He wouldn't come on because I kept playing that stupid tape when he was yelling at his players. I didn't care. Hey. The Cubs just, we're never sending any players on your air again. And poor Greenberg and all the other guys.
When Greeny was our reporter, absolutely, yes.
Hey, I'd like to get you on. You mean that show that's been ripping me for 2 hours?
It happened to me, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
My association with you cost me Billy Williams. I won't talk to no, you're with that North guy. I don't want to talk to you. I'm like, Billy, I've loved you since I was 4 years old. Don't blame me for my spots. No, not talking to you. And I'm like, all right. It's all right.
That's the way it goes.
That and my favorite thing was Jesse and I went to a Sox game, and they were playing the Brewers when the Brewers were still in the American League, and Rod Carew was their batting instructor, and they're taking batting practice, and I don't mind saying this, and we had our field passes and stuff, and he goes, "Hey, are you here to cover the Brewers or the Sox?" And we're like, "The Sox." He's like, "Well, it's our term in the cage, so fuck off."
Nice.
Rod Carew. And I'm like, wow, Rod Carew just told me to fuck off. That's awesome.
I used to give out bounties. I felt like Rick Dalton. I used to say to my producers, and Shaky knows this, if you get this guy on for me, and sometimes it happened, sometimes it didn't, I'll give you $500. I told Jesse, I'll give you $500. 500 if you get Bobby Knight. So Jesse goes to the Northwestern Indiana game that night. He's perched outside the locker room afterwards. Bobby Knight comes out. Mr. Knight, I'd like to know. I said, keeps walking. Get away from me. I'm going to the bus, blah, blah, blah. I want to know if you want to come on with my host, Mike North, and you'd be doing me a tremendous favor. Believe me when I tell you this. Blah, blah, blah. He follows after Knight told him 5 times. The greatest producer in sports radio history, in my opinion.
Tenacious.
Follows him up the stairs of the bus. The whole Indiana team is sitting there. Knight turns around to sit in the front. opposite of the
The
driver.
driver.
He sees Jesse, comes in, they go, get him out of here, and they throw him off the bus.
Well, the best was for the NCAA final game when Arkansas was in the final game, and Jesse got to Bill Clinton. And Jesse got Bill Clinton to comment on Arkansas winning. And I remember even Mike Murphy going, "Where's the Secret Service to protect the president? Here's Jesse, my God."
Jesse walked up to Nicholson in the bathroom to just say hi. Jack Nicholson, how you guys doing? He's taking a leak. That's what Jesse used to do.
Woody Allen and Sun-Yi, he bugged them in a Knick game once.
Spike Lee.
Jesse's playing the tape for me and Mike Greenberg, and he's like, "Okay, take it easy. And the second one, he goes, "That was for Sun-Yi. I said that to Sun-Yi," and we're dying.
I mean, the nerve.
Tenacious.
And then the Pat Riley stuff. I had been on off for a couple weeks, and we were going to Miami with the team. We're going to stay at the same resort. I go, this is going to be great, Jordan, everybody there. Well, I got completely annihilated with Bill Weddington and Johnny Red Kerr. The buckets of beer just kept coming by the pool. Jesse was there, other people, all the press. And the next day, after the game, I'm supposed to ask Pat Riley. Well, what happened is I had asked, which is a mistake, to ever ask the other listeners to, what question do you want me to ask Pat Riley? Well, these are the Jag-bag days, who you crapping days. Our listeners were as talented as any listeners who ever have been listeners. And the one that won was to Pat Riley. I was supposed to ask him at the podium during the NBA championship. If Fred Flintstone knows the Brontosaurus ribs are going to tip his car over, how come he keeps ordering them each day? Okay, so I'm in line.
Oh, no.
And there's Bob Birdie and some other people hiding because they know from Chicago, including some of my people. And Birdie's laughing because he knows I got to ask this question. Now, it happened to be a tough loss for Miami. So I'm like second up now. We're moving up to the mic. They had a mic on the left, mic on the right. I go, I can't ask him this question. I can't. I got to ask him something that's maybe a little bit more
legit.
So I got to throw something in. So I get up there. They go, yes, sir. I go, yeah, Coach, listen. If God came down tomorrow and said, if you shaved your head, you'll beat Michael Jordan, would you do it? And he goes, that's a good question, sir. That's a good question. I know. I go, no, because you don't seem to have good luck against him. He goes, where are you from? Bingo.
Yeah.
I go, WSCR Chicago. So I got the job done. But then he says, that's an interesting question. And the next thing you know, Brian Mack, like this.
Security.
I thrown right out of the arena. So Tino Antonacci, my buddy, calls me because we had the car phone. I go, what? Hello? What the hell did you do? It's all over. What'd you ask him? Like, it is? Because I did get the idea from Stuttering John from the Howard Stern show.
Sure.
And I got tired of the questions that the media was asking.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd spice it up a little bit. And it worked out, but I mean, if there would have been social media in a big way back then, the Ozzie Guillen interview and the Riley interview would have been trending. Those were the two. Because I know Stern loves the Ozzie Guillen interview. That I do know. He played it already. He's played it a couple times.
That's hilarious. What did you do for Ozzie? I don't remember that.
Who is that guy? Oh, his name's Mike North. He's from Chicago. I got the tape.
What did you say to Ozzie? I didn't remember that one.
Well, when I went down, when Ozzie Guillen called my show, I was with Bob Brenly and Fred Hubner. And Annie Maxwell, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
And we were at High Tops, and the Cubs were playing the Sox. And I'm going, how are we playing the White Sox for the first ever game?
Crosstown,
ever. That counts. I think it was 99.
Okay.
And you're starting Toby Hall over AJ Przinsky? Are you kidding me? We need these games. Ozzie Guillen called the show and started swearing and started getting crazy and telling me just because you like AJ, that don't mean I have to play AJ. I was talking to the guy from the Treasure of Sierra Madre. We don't need no stinking badges.
Ozzy.
And what was funny is the show ended because we had to get rid of him. And I went down there, and me and Ozzy hugged, and that was
that's good.
But he knew they talked to him.
I just remember when Dusty Baker called in, and Monster, and you guys were the monsters in the midday.
Yeah.
And he kept calling you Monster. I don't need this aggravation.
Monster, I don't need this aggravation.
Monster. And my only get for you as a producer was when I was in Vegas for the Tyson Frank Bruno rematch, and literally Frank Bruno's walking by, and I'm like, Frank, if you've got a second, the guys in Chicago would love to. Oh, that'd be my pleasure. Hello.
Yeah.
And he was like he was like Fred Gwynn. He sounded like Herman Munster. I mean, God bless him. I love Frank Bruno.
Well,
and he's
Tyson. When I had the studio, the original studio in Vegas that I was doing out of the Luxor, I had put together a studio on the main floor where all the shops were, and my plan was to bring in people. Now, Brent Musburger did it right over at the South Point. They have like this. They have like a studio. That I did that 2 years before. But my idea was never to do gambling radio. It was like if you need a place and you're from Seattle, and you want to come in and do a show from Vegas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can do it here for a certain amount of money. So but Mike Tyson came walking up, and I go, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" "I'm good." Like that. He was with a couple of guys. They were going to some boxing promotion.
Sure.
And I said, "Would you like to, come on the radio?" "No." I go, "Really?" He goes, I said, "No. I swear to God, I thought he was going to jack me up, man."
Well, yeah.
I thought he was going to jack.
Yeah.
I was just trying, like any other guy. Come on, one more time. Just one more time. He said no once. I said, I felt if I asked him one more time, I was going to be Mitch Green. Believe me when I tell you this.
I do believe you.
The most intimidating athlete I've ever met.
And then on the 180 from that, Holyfield, sweetheart of a guy,
greatest.
Came to Bolorama.
Oh, I go to him, "Hey, we got this bowling thing. And it's in Arlington Heights. You'd have to fly into O'Hare. You're in Atlanta." He goes, "Yeah. Now, this is the heavyweight champion of the world." And he goes, "Yeah, but I loved Holyfield. I picked him. I'm one of the, I think, 10 people who picked him to beat Tyson."
Well, Jesse will never forgive me. He was ready to bet Holyfield against Tyson, and I told him not to. I told
Jesse.
Yep.
I go, "Jesse, bet him." "No, shaky says no." I go,
I'm an idiot. I'll admit it. I was wrong.
That's okay. So were a million other people. So then, I mean, nobody thought he was going to win. I had 20 guys in my basement one night, and we're watching that fight. And out of the 20, 17 thought Tyson was going to win.
Yeah.
Long story short, what happens is that I get a hold of Holyfield. I go, "You're my guy. You're my guy, man. You're the best. You're 190 pounds, soaking wet in your neck.
Knocking out 250-pound fighters."
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Listen, we have this Bolorama. I said, all the bulls come. Hawks, Bob Probert. That would have been a good fight.
Bobby Probert, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, Ron Artest, Elton Brand, all those guys.
I loved Elton. Such a sweetheart guy.
Yeah, Allison Payne, Hacksaw, Jim Dugan.
Yes.
The Animal Steel.
Yes.
Wrestler. I mean, one of the more
popular. Goldberg.
So Holyfield comes in. Jerome Bettis.
Yes.
All
bowlers.
We pick him up at the airport. Here he comes. And we sit in this thing, and we had boxing gloves. He must have signed, I got 6 pairs of gloves signed by him. Greatest guy in the world. Came to the promotion, flew in from Atlanta. Still my greatest guest ever. I mean, to get the heavyweight champ of the world. When Michael Tyson was still around, and the guy that beat Tyson, the bowler, Bolorama, and we sold it out.
Oh my God, yeah.
And a lot of it because of the guests.
Oh, 100%, man. No,
Oh,
those were Bolorama was fantastic. They were always just great
We were one
hangouts.
of the first to do it. Now they all do. A lot of people do it. Kerry
Yep.
Wood, a lot of people, which is good because
Sure.
my whole philosophy on that was when you have celebrities at a golf outing, okay, you see them at the beginning, but then each guy goes off to a different hole, and you don't see them till that night. With the Bolorama, you'd have Holyfield, maybe Ron Artest, and Probert, 3 lanes in a row. After the first game, you don't bowl with them again. They move one over.
Yep.
You know, you get bowl. You know, you're bowling with Allison Payne. Then you're bowling with Elton Brand, or it was just so good that everybody pitched in. That's when the Bolorama really, those Boloramas kicked in, and you're a captive audience. And then we sold pins.
Yep.
For $25 to each person that came in and paid to watch, and then they got autographs from all of them.
That's right.
Dick Weber was there.
Dick
Mark
Weber
Roth.
couldn't have been sweeter.
Dick Weber was the best.
Yeah, unbelievable, man. I mean, I grew up watching Dick Weber, and he was so sweet. And he came a couple of years, and he'd remember me, and I'm like, oh, Dick, I wish my dad were alive to see the fact that you know who I am. I go, that would just be, he would be so happy because my dad was a big bowler.
I said the same thing about my dad. He had died, and there's Dick Weber. My dad would have loved it. And then Mark Roth came to one.
Mark Roth, absolutely.
The biggest. When I was a kid, there was a guy, and he's still around, God bless him. I called Bill Bennett, who was the president of Brunswick. I called Bill. He says, I go, can you get this guy for me? He goes, yeah, but I can also maybe, you'll love this, Jake. She works for us in the pool table department, and she does some promotionals for us. I go, who? He goes, Lauren Bacall.
Oh, my
Works
God.
for Brunswick.
Oh, my God.
You're kidding. Now it's Lauren Bacall in The Sopranos, Lauren Bacall.
Sure.
Older.
Yeah.
She couldn't come, but he tried.
Oh.
Okay. But then he got for me my hero growing up. Vietnam veteran, bowler of the year in 1969 or 70, Johnny Petraglia.
Johnny Petraglia, absolutely. 300 game Johnny
guy.
Petraglia.
He's still around. If you ever meet him, he's the most sweetest man in the world. He appreciated everything that we did for him, and boy, does he promote bowling.
Well, they were that era of Saturday afternoons with Chris Schenkel and Bo Burton Jr.
He was on every week almost.
Yeah.
I go, who is this guy? And they go, he just got back from Vietnam, which
Sure.
I'm going, wow, he just got back from Vietnam. I mean, come on. And he's beating up on Dick Weber.
Earl Anthony and Dick Weber, absolutely.
So I fell in love with the guy, and he's Italian on top of it. I fell in love with him. Great guy. Great guy.
What other old movies or TV, Mike, have you been watching?
Well, I saw Cape Fear.
The original.
The original and the later one.
Okay, both great.
And I give both men credit. I give Mitchum credit for being one of the scariest men of all time, just dressed like my dad used to dress when he went to the bowling alley. I give De Niro credit for being a great actor, but understanding if he dresses plainly, he won't beat Mitchum.
Right.
But if he dresses more now,
crazy,
the tattoos and the long hair, he'll do it, and he did. They both did a great job. I think it's Cape Fear and Cape Fear. They don't even say the remake; they just say Cape Fear, Cape Fear. I think is one of the great remakes of a movie.
I completely agree. Yeah. It is, and also
nobody talks about it.
And it's cool that they used literally the same musical score for both movies, and I think that's really a testament of how strong. I want to say it was Bernard Herrmann. I'm pretty sure it was.
And it's cool that they brought back Robert Mitchum as the police detective. And it's cool that they brought on Martin Balsam, who was in the original, as the judge.
Yep.
They linked the two together as much as they could without intruding on De Niro and without intruding on the great performance by Mitchum. I think the best part of this whole story is that Nolte wanted the role of Gregory Peck. And they had originally said, if you're going to get the role, you're going to get the role as Max Cady. But then De Niro came around. Nolte says, listen to me. Well, you're a rough guy and you're a tough guy, 48 hours, rich man, poor man.
Sure.
You're not. He goes, let me lose 25 pounds. Let me put on some glasses and let me show you that I can do it. You never question. Fragileness in this thing, and it's Nick Nolte. You forget it's Nick Nolte. So I think if I had to give performances, I like Mitchum only because he doesn't have to do all the histrionics and the theatrics. I love Nick Nolte as Gregory Peck's role. I love Gregory Peck, but Gregory Peck was Gregory Peck. To me, when I saw Gregory Peck, I wouldn't say there's so and so. I'd say there's Gregory Peck.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Horatio Hornblower?
No, Gregory Peck.
Gregory Peck, Moby Dick. Gregory
Atticus
Peck.
Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. It's Gregory Peck.
Like Pacino. Pacino was Michael Corleone, but he's also Serpico.
Right.
He's also Arthur. He's also the guy in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You forget he's Michael Corleone when you see him as Mr. Schwartz in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I think Nick Nolte was great. Jessica Lange, I love, but Polly Bergen was
Polly
good.
Bergen, yeah.
She was good. So
funny.
I shade towards the original, but the later one is good too. The beating that De Niro gives that girl was more graphic, pretty graphic, man.
Oh God, yeah.
Compared to 1960s movie making.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Ileana Douglas, wasn't it? Or no?
Ileana Douglas.
It was Ileana Douglas. Yeah.
She's I guess a producer now, director. She does.
Oh yeah, no, she and she was Scorsese's girlfriend at the time. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So no, I'm a big fan of hers. And actually she's got a great podcast. She interviews a lot of people and stuff. It's a great celebrity podcast.
Yeah, I think that I did a movie show podcast because I wanted to, because a couple years ago, you remember I had
absolutely.
And I did it for kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do most of my stuff for kicks because I can. But, Bears Barroom is a serious venture. And I'm on ESPN 1000, which is fantastic. I want to say hi to all those guys. But the movie show I did was a lot of fun. And we broke down how acting has changed so much. And, how, Marlon Brando is considered by many the greatest actor of all time. But in Blue Collar America, where I grew up, Marlon Brando wasn't around in our world because my dad would come home and he never went, "Hey kids, there's a Marlon Brando movie down the street." Hey, Burt Lancaster's OK Corral. Hey, Guns of Navarone kids, Gregory Peck and David Niven. John Wayne movie at the Uptown, Rio Bravo.
Sure.
Marlon Brando is admired more by the media and by the actors. And I give them credit. If they want to give him credit, that's fine. De Niro and all those guys. But in my world, John, and maybe because they learned from Brando, I find there's a lot of... I think the most damaging thing I read about Brando was Christopher Reeve saying he did acting such an injustice. What he did, he was horrible on the Superman set. He thought the world owed him a living. He mailed it in. And I'm saying, and this is the guy that's held up, and I just can't put him up there. And maybe Christopher Reeves helped steer me completely off Brando. I do love Brando and The Godfather.
Sure.
But I think, but
there's
Kirk Douglas and Lancaster and John Wayne. Those were I'd like to write almost a book on blue collar actors, the people that the blue collar actors want, like not the Academy Award winners or the Academy or Cannes or any of those places. You know what I mean?
I do. And I mean, Brando represented the method and the new style of acting when he broke through. And, was temperamental.
He's great in Streetcar Named Desire.
Absolutely.
So I give him his credit. But he wasn't a family favorite in a lot of blue-collar America, middle America. But I understand why. Hey, look, Mutiny on the Bounty, he's tremendous in it.
Right.
He made some good movies.
Of course he did.
But, man, if they learn good, because De Niro is just as good. I agree. I think Pacino's is good. I know Nicholson's is good, if not better. So that's just my take on it. That's all.
No, No, I understand. And
The Pride and Joy of Libertyville, Illinois, Marlon Brando.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Absolutely.
No, I hear you, man. I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, I respect Brando, but and there's certainly I've got my favorite Brando movies here and there, but
Christopher Reeves ruined them.
That was that Letterman interview. I remember when it was making the rounds a year or so ago on Twitter. That
didn't care.
Yeah.
He could have taught us so much. He didn't looked at us like, it's tough. I didn't like how he got fat. I didn't.
Colonel Kurtz.
You know what Tom Petty said? When you get fat, it's over. And if you're a rock star or movie star, you get fat as a leading man, whether you're Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, if he got fat, he's done.
I hear you. Yeah.
If you get fat, it is over. Tom Petty, like Elvis did. when Elvis got fat, it was over.
It was over.
It was over. So that's how I felt about that. I love Robert Mitchum though in Cape Fear. Love him.
Well, Mitchum, it's funny when you mentioned him. A later performance he did in the '80s on TV of all places. He was on like half a season of Edward Woodward's show, The Equalizer, when Edward Woodward had a heart attack, and they needed somebody to replace him for a while, and they got Mitchum. And it's great because it's like early '70s Robert Mitchum, and he still had the magnetism and was a badass, and it was great. And I keep meaning to buy that season on DVD just to enjoy. I mean, The Winds of War was such a great older performance of Mitchum's as well.
The problem with me with Mitchum is when he played Mike Hammer.
Go on. No.
Was it Sam Spade? Sam Spade or Mike?
No, he was Marlowe. He was Marlowe in the British movies.
One of the guys.
Yeah, the British movies.
He didn't fight enough because he was older.
Yeah. Well, but it's literally another buddy and I were talking about those Mitchum because they're British made, those Marlowe movies. But it's cool because he still had that old Hollywood magnetism.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of worked. It's funny. I read a great Mitchum biography, and he said when he was making those movies, the clothes he wore were actually Victor Mature suits from old Victor Mature movies. And literally, he's like, "Hey, Victor Mature farted up this suit. It stinks," and he's complaining about how the clothes smelled.
Victor Mature in OK Corral.
Yeah.
Great.
Or no, Clementine, Darling Clementine.
With Henry Fonda.
Yes.
But Victor Mature is famous for retiring early and saying, "I don't need it anymore. I made enough money, and I love to loaf."
Yeah.
He goes, "Some people love to loaf. Some people get chased out of the movie business because they just don't want to go through all the complications of it and all the bull."
Our buddy William Peterson. Our buddy William Peterson.
Wow, what happened to Bill? I can't find him no more.
Well, because God bless him, man. He
made so much money. That's why.
He was looking forward to that day when he could cash out, and he did. And God bless him. That's great.
My favorite one.
I miss him.
Oh, I love him. My favorite one is we're in Vegas, me, Jiggets, and Bill Peterson. And Peterson's telling me, I turned down a couple movies. I go, "Which ones?" He goes, "Platoon." I go, "You turned down Platoon?"
He could have had Tom Berenger's role. Yeah.
Yeah. He turned down Berenger.
The asshole sergeant role. Yeah.
He didn't want to travel, which I understand. He goes, "You know what, Mike? I like making the money I'm in." I go, "Yeah, but live and die in LA. You got to do more. You're too good." He loved the theater. He goes, "Nah, I'm never going to." This is great. "I'm never going to do the series thing." Oh, of course not. I agree with you. I don't want to be known wherever I go. Lo and behold, a few years later, 250,000 an episode. I'm sorry, I'll be known. I'll buy a home in Italy.
Well, when he did your TV show, I mean, we had dinner with him and stuff.
Yep.
And he was all excited, and he's like, "CBS wants me to do a TV show." We're like, "Great."
And I said, "Don't wait a minute. I thought you didn't want to do this stuff."
But he told us that Ted Danson, when they made Cousins, because he said, they were co-stars in that, and he asked Ted Danson, and he said, "Isn't TV a pain in the ass?" And Danson's like, "This is the greatest job in the world." He goes, "You work Monday through Thursday. You got Friday, Saturday, Sunday off." He goes, "You're done by 8:00 at night, Monday through Thursday. So you still have your evening if you want to have dinner with somebody or whatever and hang out." And he said, and then with the hiatuses, he goes, "I can squeeze in a movie or two every year if I want to do that." He goes, and he said, "Because I'm a producer, he made money off of Cheers, not just the acting fee, but the producing fee."
Well, Billy listened to him, made a ton of money. God bless him. One of the great guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plays. I mean, I just, to tell you what kind of guy he is, when he was rolling, I don't know if he still does, but I know he's got family. I know he's got family in Chicago, but he still had a house on Milwaukee Avenue, a bungalow. So that's the kind of guy we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, B, come on over here. Say hi to everybody. We could do Shaky wants to say hi. I got to read books on the outside, to quote Bill Murray, just to keep up with her. Hello, B.
Hi, B. Yay.
How are we doing?
Doing all right. How are you? Atta girl. You look great.
Sound good as usual.
Doesn't Shaky look the same?
He does. He never changes.
Yeah.
Hey, did you ask him about that thing you said? I remember you told me yesterday we were watching the movie and you said The only people that would ever know this is
Oh,
Shaky and me.
that's it.
What movie?
Okay.
Here, tell them.
I'm watching a Western last night.
Okay.
Thanks, B.
Good seeing you, B.
You know,
Nice to see you.
she'll be sending the bill, Shake.
I understand.
Yeah. So I go, you know who that is? And she goes, I'm watching a Western. And he's working in the telegraph office. So he's one of the
Character
go,
actors.
you know who that is? She goes, who? I go, Ming, the Merciless, Charles Middleton.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I go, now I wouldn't have known that. I go, you know why? Because he wore makeup.
Right.
Nobody knows Charles Middleton except two guys, I think, in this whole world. Appears in movies like this and it can pick him up. She goes, who? Besides you. I go, Shaky. She goes, you know, you're right, Shaky. Charles Middleton had another career, but he was the greatest. I mean, people talk to me about Hans Gruber, who I love, and Die Hard,
Sure.
other arch enemies. I'm sorry. Ming the Merciless is my number one, followed by Ordell Roby, who played not Pulp Fiction, in Jackie Brown.
Oh, yeah. Samuel L's
Samuel L.
character.
Jackson.
Sure.
Scary as scary can be.
Oh, absolutely.
But Ming is number one. To me, I look forward to seeing Ming as much as Flash Gordon.
You
And
know,
what did he say every week? Kill the Earthman. Every week. Every week. And he never died. Right?
the great
Every
Buster
week
Crab.
we kill the Earthman. You know.
You know, my character actor that I've been focusing on lately has been Edward Brophy, who, you know, he's in The Last Hurrah with Spencer Tracy. He's a ditto. He's the fat little squat guy. He's in a great Bogart movie, All Through the Night, and gets killed in that movie. Yes,
I know who it is.
and he's in these Falcon. He's in these Falcon movies as well.
The Falcon movies.
Funny as hell. Funny as hell.
Another thing, we're the only two guys that would know, maybe.
Yeah.
Except movie. There's some great movie people that love it like we do. But
well, tonight I'm going to do another Scene Missing episode, and my buddy Mike Cronenberg, who's very big in the Noir City organization. That's Eddie Muller's organization. You know Eddie Muller from TCM, who does all the great noir movies.
I love Eddie Muller, but at one time I tweeted him, and I know he's in love with film noir. But what I like to do is watch film noir and then compare what actor would I put in from today to play that role back then.
Okay, so who? Like, tell me who you.
I'm watching Robert Ryan in one of his movies with Van Heflin. He's
You're right.
Van Heflin because Van Heflin turned around and basically really told on his soldiers. Years later, he moves to United States. He's left away, and I go, Robert Ryan, Irishman, about 6'2", 6'3". So I just say to Eddie Mullen, I think if you were going to use an actor from today, maybe Matt Dillon. You know who Matt Dillon is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but he didn't like that one. But I was just going by physique. I wasn't going by who's the better actor.
I understand. Oh, so Matt Dillon kind of looks like Robert Ryan to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Irish.
Okay.
Got the tall look. Got the Russian.
Sure.
If
Sure.
you saw one, what about Mary, or
So yeah, sure.
But
Something about Mary.
Well,
Yeah, I
I'd
understand.
like to do it. There's nobody that could play Peter Lorre. Nobody.
No.
That guy there is one of the most. If you want to talk about the most famous character actor of all time, him and Claude Rains are probably right up there. Those two guys, don't you think?
Well, I agree, and also the versatility of Peter Lorre, I think was amazing, and I mean was funny, and then could play a psychopath like an M, and it was just
great.
Yeah,
I mean, terrible story, but it's so good.
And again, Maltese Falcon, and this, to me, the most underrated Bogart movie is All Through the Night, where it's like a really expensive Bowery Boys movie, and it's these Brooklyn mugs versus Nazi spies, and William Demarest is Bogart's lieutenant, Uncle Charlie from My Three Sons.
Yep.
And Jackie Gleason's in it, and he's a baby.
Jackie Gleason's like brand new, and he disappears for a while.
Yep. And Phil Silvers is brand new in that movie.
Well, when I think about stopping Nazis, I always look to Leo Gorcey. You know that. I mean,
but that's the thing, man.
With Cagney, those guys were huge, the Bowery Boys. They'd appear in Cagney movies, Bogart movies.
Oh, the Dead End Kids, sure. When they were the Dead
No.
End Kids, absolutely.
Come
But that's the
on
thing,
now.
man. Jane Darwell plays Bogart's mom from The Grapes of Wrath. She's Bogart's mom. Oh, it's great. Yeah, mom. I gotta get your favorite cheesecake. Yeah.
You know what I watched the other night? Marty.
I love Marty.
Ernest Borgnine, who I met personally. We both got the Ellis Island Award together in New York. One of the greatest.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, I got pictures, me and him. And
Ernest Borgnine. Jesus Christ.
And I'll never forget, I walked in with my whole family. I flew my friends there and everything else. And the first thing my buddy Louis says is, "There's McHale."
Exactly. Quit McHale.
I go, "Louis, he was more than that. He was in Bad Day of Last Night."
That was just on.
Let me tell you something. He's McHale.
He's Quinn McHale.
And we all came up to him and we go, "We loved you as a movie guy, but we loved you as McHale." And he was the nicest guy. And when he died, it hurt me. 95 years old.
Yeah, because he was still razor sharp at 95. Oh, he did so many great interviews and really well, let me tell you about Jimmy Cagney. Yes, please go on. We'd love to hear it, please.
He was, and we got the award together, and it was just an honor. And I'm sitting, I go, I can't believe Ernest Borgnine.
Ernest Borgnine.
My God. I mean, back in the 60s, kids like us looked at the TV stars as movie stars.
Well, sure.
They were our guys. We saw them every week. We didn't have to pay no money.
Of course.
Boom,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where I'm not into series TV anymore because I'm a little older now and I come from a different
I understand.
generation. But I think if you were forced, if kids today, let's say with the quarantine, they said, "We're just going to show because of the quarantine." Oh, by the way, wear a mask and don't touch your face.
Thank you.
We're just going to show 60s shows. Dick Van Dyke.
Get smart.
Not Mary Tyler. Dick Van Dyke. The Riflemen.
Okay.
Bonanza.
Sure.
Ed Sullivan with the Rolling Stones. I think if that's all they watch for a year, they'd be hooked. That's just me. Well, why do you think MeTV does so good?
Oh, I understand, Mike. Believe me. I love MeTV.
There's people that watch it too. That
Yes,
don't have
indeed.
cable and that see it for the first time, that are tired of the same. Look, I've seen Shawshank Redemption 53 times. I've seen Casino 150 times. And I still love them all. I've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But you know what? I'm watching Cheyennes I never saw.
Well, Mike, I'm bummed they have that Peacock network, which is Universal's streaming channel, and it's on. If you have Xfinity, Comcast, you can see that. But and I was going through their library, and for having Universal Studios and 100 years of movies that Universal made, I'm disappointed with the amount of classic films that are on there. I think there should be more.
Didn't they lose some movies? What studio lost movies in a fire? It might have been MGM.
I can't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you should be disappointed if they're going to charge people.
Well, actually, Peacock, if you have Xfinity, it's free, and they run commercials, and that's okay. Because the movies are uncut, but they put in commercials. But the amount of television that Universal made from the 50s, through the 90s and stuff, it's like, where are these great shows? They've got some of it. They got Columbo, and they got the Munsters, and some of these classic TV shows, serious shows, and funny, and comedies. But it's like, where's Banachek? Where's McMillan and Wife? Where's McCloud? Yes. Where's McCloud with Dennis Weaver? A cowboy in the middle of New York, if you will. I love those shows, man. Come on, all those shows.
The beat. Some of them they like. I'm watching Lee Marvin the other night. By the way,
him. Point Blank. Which one?
I'm looking at North to North. Thank you for all the kind comments. People saying there's actually some people that are riveted by this conversation.
Mike, I'm telling you, I see the numbers on my side, so no, I'm not surprised.
So thank you, shaking for us. I got to say this.
Yes.
Lee Marvin, the other night, was in a bit part. You know where he was? I watched the Caine Mutiny.
I love that movie. Yes, he's so good in that.
Yeah. But Caine Mutiny, Marvin sticks his head out. And he's a young guy. Nobody changed his persona from Liberty Valance to a major leading man.
Yes.
He was like Jack Elam in the 50s. And
absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
And he turned into Clark Gable.
Yes.
I mean, Angie Dickinson and everything else. That's the thing I like to see. The growth by some people. Somebody saw something in Lee Marvin. I wasn't. I loved him in Capaloo.
Of
When he
course.
won the Academy Award
Yes,
as
indeed.
Drunken Cowboy.
Yes.
To me, that's as good as it gets for him. But he changed his persona. He's still a badass, but for the Dirty Dozen, compared to, I mean, he shot an M Squad in Chicago.
That's
and
right.
Daly got pissed because it didn't always put the city in the best of lights.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know the original Mayor Daley didn't like M Squad. That's hilarious.
It's not that he didn't like it, but they couldn't film everything they wanted to.
Wow. Those shots in the title sequence of M Squad when he's coming down Michigan Avenue, and it's 1958 Michigan Avenue.
It's the best.
There's
nothing around.
I was going to say there's no skyscrapers. It's amazing.
There's a movie with Sterling Hayden and Betty Davis.
Okay.
And she plays a drunken actress down on her luck.
Okay.
And she's taken in by Sterling Hayden, who was a boat by the bay.
Okay.
And he goes, baby, when we get out of this, maybe we'll go to Chicago. And you know what she says? This movie was made in 1954. She goes, what's in Chicago besides the Blackstone Hotel and a good bath? There was Chicago, apparently, in the 40s and 50s, was not that exciting a town compared to now. I mean, with the restaurants that they didn't have a lot of restaurants back then.
That's funny.
Back then, you go, where was your wedding? Como Inn. Mine too. Wait, it's
the Como Inn. That's hilarious. That was my mom's favorite.
26 miles. Everybody got married at the Como Inn.
My mother's favorite restaurant. Absolutely. I loved it. It was a great. That was a great.
I'm sorry, it's gone.
I am too, man. That was a great place. That's hilarious.
The record. When they built the Kennedy Expressway, the boys said, maybe you better turn it a little bit.
So it's not.
No, they go, no, just. So if you used to drive, now if you know where Erie and Halstead is, folks, the Kennedy Expressway is right there. They were going to go through there.
Cut right through it, yeah.
And somebody said, I don't think that's good. And they turned it.
We would like you to move it, please.
Move it a little bit.
I found out great stories about my family.
Yeah.
My grandmother was a widow, very young, and she had a place on Grand Avenue, a little mom and pop grocery store sandwich shop. And in the back room, there was this giant back room with a big table. And my oldest cousin is like, Grandma, what's with the big table? And she's like, well, the boys in the neighborhood used to have their meetings back there. The boys in the neighborhood. Well, I was a widow and they took care of me and they protected me. And then, as a favor, they would have their meetings back there.
Yeah.
So the boys took care of my grandmother. And that's great because she was during the Depression raising 3 kids and they took care of her. That's good. So,
well, my mom,
nice public service.
My mom, God bless her. She's so upset. She's 90. And you remember my mom.
Oh, of course I do. Absolutely. I'm glad she's doing
I'll tell
good.
you my mom is the best, but you got to take her with a grain of salt with certain things she says. Like, I go, Mom, look at your kids. They're all successful. She goes, look at Danny. Danny was a manager. Your youngest son was a manager at Dominic's. Came from, meager, background. We grew up in Rogers Park and was 30 years at Dominic's and now he's retired. She goes, yes. I go, look at my brother John. He's vice president of Kenwood out in Dallas, Texas. Nice family, the whole ball wax. She goes, yes, that's wonderful. I go, and then look what happened to me. I go, I was left for dead. Nobody was going to give me a chance. And then look what I did. She goes, yeah, I still can't figure out how that happened. Bang, zoom. My mom but she's mad because she's been trying to go to church. And they got so many rules now.
I know.
She was born, folks, in 1929, the Depression. She's a Depression baby.
Yeah. She
grew up where 7 people lived in 4 rooms above a bar in Chicago on Broadway. The bar's still there, the Double Bubble, on 6036 Broadway. And she's been going to church since 1937 when she was 7 years old. She stopped now because there's 6 people waiting for you at the door. You better wash it. You can't stand there. they make it such a hassle. I understand some of the things, Jake, but they make it such a hassle. Even my mother, she goes, she's watching Mass on TV now.
I was going to ask,
watch
like,
it on TV. Don't go through the aggravation.
yeah, because I was going to say when my mom was sick, our priest would come to the house and give her services on Friday, which was very sweet.
That's
and
a
I
good
understand,
idea.
you know,
I might
call the
do
priest. Seriously, call the priest.
that. I might call him one of my guys.
I'm serious.
Yeah. I
There
got a
you go.
couple priests. There's a couple priests I know. Father Smith's gone. Father Flavin's gone. A lot of the priests I knew as a kid are gone. But I kept in touch with them.
I hear you.
Father Flavin. The guy came to one of my shows and I served mass for him when I was like 10 years old. And the guy came to a Ditka show. There he is. I go,
That's
wow.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So, I mean, just crazy stuff. But, how you hanging in with the quarantine, by the way?
I'm fine.
There's going to be some movies about this, don't you think?
Oh, of course. Oh, no, there's Mike. They're already making. I mean, this was 2 months ago. I got a press release. Well, I was going to say they're making horror movies already. I mean, and they're making serious movies as well. But yeah,
they're opened up for business for the folk.
Well, they're a lot of these shows and movies, they're shooting their footage themselves. 30 Rock, the Tina Fey show last Thursday had a special, and they had scenes. They had a bunch of Zoom chat scenes, or like what we're doing now, but they also had regular scenes. And the family shot these scenes of like Tina Fey on the street or Tina Fey in her apartment. Oh, I like her a lot. Chicago girl.
You like everybody a lot.
Great Chicago girl. Back off.
Wait a minute. I know she's a Chicago girl. I'm
and
not
a great
fan.
girl.
She seems like a very nice girl. I like her off-state commercial.
Oh, I think she's funny. I
like Mary another Chicago girl, Mary Matlin. Is it Matlin?
That's Carvel's. No, that's Carvel's wife.
No, yeah, that's.
Oh, Mary. No, Marley Matlin. Marley. Well, my favorite. I always.
She's so Chicago. Listen, she's so Chicago. She follows me on Twitter. How nuts is that?
That's amazing. That's
fantastic.
fantastic.
Who following me on Twitter?
Who?
Belinda Carlisle.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wow. I love her.
She answered a couple.
I'm mad about her.
I don't want to act like Joe Fan, but I want to just tell her.
Oh my God.
One of the great singers, underrated singers of all time.
And just like one of the most adorable rock stars.
Solo or with the Go-Go's.
Yes. I saw the Go-Go's open for the Police back in the day. The band. Yeah.
I saw Bachman Turner Overdrive open for Styx. Listen to this. And the next year, I saw Styx at the Chicago Stadium open up for Bachman Turner Overdrive. It changed. You ain't seen nothing yet. Taking care of business.
Sure.
They wiped Styx out for a year or two. Well, Styx is still around. Remember James Young?
Seriously, that was the greatest thing, that James Young was a Score fan. And it just, I'm like, oh my God, I've been listening to your music.
One of the lead guitarists from one of the great bands. I hear their songs played on commercials and everything. They're huge.
Oh my God. Or the Buckinghams. I love that the Buckinghams came to a Bolorama with us one year. And Ronnie Rice.
Greatest story in the world. I decide to have, I think it was BB's party, our anniversary. You had to be there. I don't know where you were. You disappeared for a while.
I understand.
We had our people from the hot dog stand there. We had 200 people, 250 people. And the mayor of Park Ridge did me a favor and blocked off our street.
I was at that party, Mike.
I had Ronnie Rice and I had the Buckinghams play on my driveway.
Oh, well, okay. I remember the one where Ronnie Rice just had the guitar and he was singing. So
that was at the anniversary party at Basta.
Okay.
We had another one where I had Ronnie Rice and then the Buckinghams play my driveway. And some guy comes up at 10:30 in Park Ridge and goes, "Hey, you guys are a little noisy, aren't you?" on his bike. Wrong crowd. Louis, the whole crew. Get going. We never saw him again. But it was fun. And somebody called the cops on us, and they all knew me and B. And the cops came in. They go, "We got a complaint." I go, B goes, "You want something to eat?" "Yeah, well, they ate at our house." And then they left. Great stuff.
Hilarious.
Because, the Buckinghams were, Carl Giammarisi is one of the great guys. They're still around. Go see them. I know that they would be making money now with the summer festivals.
Oh, God, I know. It breaks my heart.
Three Dog Night and all these guys. I mean, they live off these summer festivals.
I know. It's sad. I know, Mike.
Look, did you hear what's happening to De Niro? You know,
No,
De Niro has he's got all this property and all these restaurants. He's in trouble
I'm sure he's taking.
financially.
I'm sure he's taking.
Oh my God! You never dreamt this was going to happen. And he doesn't have one restaurant. And don't forget, he owns a lot of Tribeca and all that. Big time trouble, man.
Wow.
So, you know, I think it's in everybody's best interest. I think Bobby's probably trying to push. I don't know what's going to happen over there, but if Bob De Niro's in trouble, think of other business people.
Oh God, Mike, honestly, I'm glad my father isn't alive and owning a restaurant during
Yeah.
this time. Because yeah,
Yeah.
I'm surrounded
I
by
mean-
bars and restaurants like my father's place, and I don't know how they're going to survive. It's sad.
I mean, if
It's
you
really
got
sad.
to look, Gibson's made like 26 million bucks last year. Okay.
Wow.
So, right. Wow.
Yeah.
So if you have to just have outdoor dinings in your Gibsons, that's one thing. But if you're a 30 seater, or if you were a 20-seat hot dog stand like myself,
I hear you,
tough.
man.
Curbside, we would have BB and I would have curbside service and deliveries for all three of our stands. I had hot dog, but it would have been tough, man.
Oh, I hear you, man.
Talking to people.
Well, and again, I'm surrounded by all these great corner bars here in Roscoe Village in the city and stuff. And yeah, I my heart goes out to them because I don't know how the hell they're going to survive. And it's a
The
shame
River
because
Shannon still there?
I haven't been to River Shannon forever. But like Beat Kitchen is right down.
That's on, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I think I drank at every north side or northwest side bar, and some on the south side and west side over my 40 years of drinking.
Sure.
I stopped 13 years. I was at the river. They had the best tater tots, the River Shannon.
Good to know. Okay.
Yeah, on Southport and Belmont.
Oh, okay. That's not that far from me. I'm at I'm at Belmont and Levitt, and right by, like I said, B Kitchen's right at Belmont and Sealy, I want to say,
Yeah,
and Village Tap is walking distance from me, and
yeah.
a lot of great little joints, and no, I don't know how they're I try to support them as I can, but it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough time, and yeah,
It's tough. I'll tell you what. I remember. I mean, in sports radio, we'd fight our way. I always said, if you're talented enough, you should have no trouble filling on time. But with this pandemic, the guys at AM 1000 at the Score, I mean, they're earning their money, man. That's all there is to it. They're earning their money because we had sports no matter what. In
Right.
June, July, we had 32 baseball teams, or we had we had basketball getting ready. So we had the Bears in camp.
well, the tough months were just July and February, as I remember.
Oh, February was brutal.
Yeah.
We were
Well, I
waiting
used
for
to-
March Madness.
Or when we'd be at the auto show, and I just remember, though, and I know you guys, and believe me, congratulations, you guys would be like, we're not working the auto show anymore. So that's when all the producers got to host, was during the auto show. And I remember me and
told them was they had us work the. Danny Lee says you're going to work at the auto show. I go, where's it at? He goes, McCormick Place. I go, I went once when I was 9, okay, with my uncle and aunt. I swore I'd never want to go again.
it's the
I don't want to
worst.
go. But we went for 2-3 years, but we'd cry about it.
Of course.
Just getting there is like a battle.
But I just remember me and Buffone hosting one day.
Yeah, because
And-
what happened was I had it written in my contract.
That you didn't have to go anymore.
No more auto show. They go, are you kidding? I go, put it down. No more auto show.
Yep.
What happened? So the other guys got to work, which was fine.
So, but we were doing it once, and again, because people are there for the cars. They're not there for this. They're not there for the sports.
There was
station.
2 people standing in front of us. One guy looked like he wanted to kill us.
And one guy, and
They're
they
all
serve.
tourists. They're
They
all
serve and they
tourists.
serve liquor. They serve liquor at the auto show. So Doug and I are talking, and Doug's talking about, all right, so this is what the Bears got to do for draft day, Chooch. And I'm like, okay, great. 2 months away. But I'm like, sure, Doug, go ahead. And this guy is standing there with a full glass of wine, drunk out of his mind. And Doug is just going, and he's like, I love you, Doug. And he goes, oh, that's nice, Pally. Thanks a lot. Listen, I'm doing live radio right now. I'll talk to you in a second. And I lost my mind. And seriously, that's like one of my favorite Buffone
Listen,
memories.
we used to do remotes sometimes. I'll never forget. We did one at Home Run Inn.
Sure. Home run in. Absolutely. Great pizza. Yeah.
Nice people. They had me and Fred. I think it was Fred.
Okay.
It was like 20 degrees out inside the front door. Can't we go inside the restaurant?
Like Northern Exposure. Exactly.
I go to Greg Lane. I go, what are you doing?
The
We're
engineer.
outside. It was great. The one that I love the best, was when I had the idea for the backyard remotes. 3 backyards. Send us a picture of your backyard.
Oh, I don't remember this. Go on.
Oh, this is great. I go, Doug, I got an idea. We can make this interesting. We can make some money. I go, let's do some backyard remotes. He goes, what do you mean, little buddy? I said, we'll have people send pictures of their backyards to us. And whichever ones we see, the 3 best, we'll do 3 Friday remotes in a row. They sent us pictures. Okay. We took the 3 backyards with the greatest pools.
Cool.
Pools.
Smart.
We did one in Wadsworth. We did one in the one 4 girls sent it to us with bikinis. We did that one.
Smart. All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, yeah, we had an unbiased judging panel.
Of course. It's all about the landscaping.
I don't think Justin would. And then we did one closer to home, I think in Schaumburg. They were great. We had a good time. We hung out with them afterwards. Turned out pretty good.
That's hilarious.
Turned out pretty good. Oh, yeah. We did all sorts of crazy stuff that if you did today, you're done.
I understand. Mike, we did good. I think we should probably wrap it up. We did 2 hours.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
You, it's never. You can wrap it up whenever you want. I mean,
okay. Well, I imagine B's got lunch ready for you or whatever. But
nah, she left already. She goes, I had it with the 2 of you. I'm in charge of watching the dog now while she goes out.
I understand. Lucky.
Believe me, I'm gone if something happens to that dog.
All right.
Done. He holds sway. You know what sway is?
I do. I do.
Sway here.
Clout. We call it clout here in Chicago. You know that.
It's been a great time.
Hey, Mike, good hangout. Absolutely, man.
Can I talk to you after we disconnect?
Of course. Yeah. I'll say goodbye, and yeah. You stay on standby. Don't turn off. But I'll take you out of the picture, and
everybody. I guess we had good people, a lot of people listening. Thank you, my friends.
Excellent. Well done, sir. Mike North, everybody. Saying goodbye, and I'll say thank you very much for watching. And don't forget, Word Balloon Live tonight. We'll do another Scene Missing, a deep dive into a lot of obscure old movies, classic movies with Hilary Barta and Will Pfeiffer and Mike Cronenberg, all of us talking about some great old movies that we've seen. I appreciate everybody hanging out. And more great Word Balloon Live this week. We're going to talk to Greg Rucka tomorrow night about his film on Netflix, The Old Guard, and get your chance to talk about that with Greg. And his run on Lois Lane has just wrapped up. Yes, Lois Lane, for Mike watching off the air right now. And Friday night, I hope you'll join me for something really special, and that's a great after-hours hangout that we're going to do. And I'm finding, there it is. How about this? John Con. That's right. Friday evening, John Con. Me, the Benson sisters, and Tom King, and a lot of great comic book people hanging out and just doing a good after-hours conversation on Friday evening. And that'll be starting at 8 o'clock Eastern. So you'll want to join us for that. Until next time, thanks a lot for watching today. As I always say at the end of every broadcast, stay safe, stay happy,